Stop trying to stretch your sciatica. It's making it worse. Do this instead. What's up, guys? Dr. Nick Bonforte here. In today's video, we are going over how to correct your sciatica. So sciatica is just a term that refers to pain, weakness, tingling, burning sensation going down your leg. And that is a result of something that's going on. It could be from the back. It could be most commonly like a bulging disc. You can have sciatica-like symptoms from the piriformis muscle. There could be many variations of why you're experiencing sciatica symptoms. Now, we have to really scale back and understand what we're talking about with the whole sciatica symptom. And we're gonna focus on an area that is likely the contributing factors to this, and how to go about solving those. So when we're scaling back and we're looking at what the sciatic nerve actually is, it really originates at the spine level. It goes into the nerve roots out of the spine, and it combines into one nerve, which is the sciatic nerve going down the leg. And it's composed of L4 to S3 nerve roots that combine into one going down the whole leg. And as it courses down the leg, it can go through your piriformis muscle, one, it can go behind it or in front of it. So it either pierces through the piriformis, goes behind it or in front of it as it courses down the leg. That's why if you have some piriformis issues, you can get those mimic sciatica symptoms. So we want to keep that in mind, but in this case, in this video, we're going to be focusing at the spine level of how it can contribute to that sciatic symptoms that you get down the entire leg. So in this video, we're going to be focusing at the cause coming from the back itself. Now, when we're thinking about why sciatica happens, it's usually from a bulging disc or a herniated disc. So we have to better understand how that can contribute to those feelings of sciatica going down your leg. Now, if I take this as a model, we're gonna think about taking it from the spine. So the sciatic nerve originates from nerve roots going into one. So it goes from L4 to S3. So if I take this and I peel it out of the spine, this is gonna be L4, L5 as the example. So we have a bone, a disc, and a bone. Now, in the disc, there's the annulus fibrosus surrounding the outside of the disc, and inside the disc is the nucleus pulposus, that jelly-like substance. Then we have our nerve, our spinal cord going down, and the nerve roots coming out of the spine. So in this case, this would be the L4, L5, nerve root going down into the sciatic nerve, going down the leg. This is just the example. Now, we have to understand the pressures on this disc and how it can affect the nerve root. So a good analogy to just understand this from a simplicity standpoint is a jelly donut analogy. So if we put pressure on the front part of the disc or the jelly donut, you'll notice the jelly goes out the back. That would be flexion-based movements that's associated with bending forward, sitting for prolonged periods of time. That's flexion. So you're putting pressure on the front part of the disc, goes out backwards. That's the herniation or the bulging disc, and it puts pressure on the sciatic nerve, on the nerve root. Then the other way is extension, where you're putting pressure on the back part of the disc, and the jelly would go out the front. That's just a simple analogy to better understand what we're talking about when we have a bulging disc. Most commonly, the bulging disc or the herniated disc goes out back into the side. So many factors in life can contribute to the sensitivity of a bulging disc or a herniated disc. And it's really related to flexion insensitivity or flexion and rotation. That's the most common ways we spark up a bulging disc. And when we put pressure on the front part, you can see this bulging effect that happens. And when it happens, it puts pressure on the nerve root that comes out of the spine. When it puts pressure on that nerve root, it goes down into where it goes into, which is the sciatic nerve, going down the whole leg, hence experiencing those symptoms going down the leg. Now, the nerve can carry sensory information and motor information. Motor meaning movement and sensory meaning feeling. That's why we can get the feeling of tingling sensations, burning sensations, numbing sensations, because that's the sensory part of the nerve. Also, we can feel like we're getting weak because that's the motor output. So when we have a herniated disc or a bulging disc putting pressure on that nerve root going down into the sciatic nerve, that's why we can experience those types of feelings. But at the end of the day, we have to zoom out and figure out, okay, why is this actually happening, the root cause, and how do we correct that and limit the contributing factors of why this bulging disc or herniated disc is happening in the first place. So now that we have a better understanding locally what's happening at the back with a bulging disc or herniated disc, putting pressure on the nerve root, which goes down into contribute the whole sciatic nerve down the leg, let's go into why stretching it in the beginning could actually contribute more to the symptoms and more irritation. When we have pressure from a bulging disc on the nerve root, it's sensitive. Now, it might feel stiff and tight like we have to stretch it out, but when nerve has irritation, stretching it actually makes it more aggravated because nerves don't want to be stretched. So this concept of here, if we just use this band as an analogy, if I'm having the band from my back going down into my leg, we're going to think about that as the sciatic nerve for this example. Now, when we have a bulging disc at the back and it's sensitizing this whole nerve, when we go to stretch it like this is the same position I would be if I was on my back, lifting my leg up, right? I'm almost at this 90-degree angle right here. It's no different than if I'm lying on my back. It's the concepts here to understand. We're just stretching this nerve. Now, it might feel good in the moment, but when we have a sensitive flexion-based back, bulging discs from the beginning get sensitive to flexion bending forward. It puts more pressure on that disc, creates more of that bulging effect, more irritation to the nerve root, more irritation to the sciatic nerve. So by just stretching it like this, we're just pulling on it, making it worse in the long run. So in the beginning, we got to really calm it down at a localized level at the back, and then also start to mobilize the sciatic nerve where we're dynamically moving it when we're not just aggressively stretching it. Hey, real quick, if you're liking this content, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It really helps out with my channel and I really do appreciate it. All right, back to the content. So we're gonna start local at the back level or the disc level. And we're gonna be doing an exercise called prone press ups or extensions. The idea with this is to go the opposite direction of the irritating factor. We're thinking flexion sensitivity, creating that bulging disc. We gotta go backwards to kind of put everything back into place. Now, is there a lot more in depth to that? Yes, but this is just for simplicity, understand where the disc material is. Right now, it's out the back, hurting, so we gotta push it back in. So when we're here like this, we're gonna be doing prone press ups. So from here, we're gonna get our hands underneath the shoulders. We'll take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, we're gonna just straighten the arms. And then from here, I'm just letting my back and my glutes just sag a little bit to the ground. And then they come back down. And as you do that, you might feel a little bit of a pinching sensation or irritation into the back, but that is completely normal. And as you continue to rep this out, then you'll notice that pinching sensation might be a little bit less. The idea with this is taking the concepts at a local level of extension and pushing the material back into place, creating a less of a bulging effect. So it's almost like a disc reduction type of movement. So again, from here, deep breath in, and then exhale, and let the whole low back and the glutes just relax to get that little bit of overpressure into extension. Now, depending on the sensitivity to the back and to the sciatica going down the whole leg, you might not be able to press all the way up. In this case, if this is too problematic, you could just start with lying face down like so and just breathe it. What this does is help get the back into a tolerable extension-based movement. So right now, as I'm lying down, my back is on a little bit of extension versus flexion. So from here, I'm just breathing. Then after a period of time, say 8 breaths, 10 breaths, you could then prop yourself up on your elbows and repeat the same exact sequence. Breath work, exhale for 5, let the whole low back and the glutes just sag, and you could repeat this for 8 to 10 reps. And then you could start to retest the movement to feel if you can actually press a little bit further. The idea is not to just jam yourself pressing up. You want to be able to press up smoothly and feel like it's okay to the back versus just forcing a position. If you can't get up as quickly or as far, you could start with those positions, face down, on your elbows, and then once you're ready, you feel like you're going up then. Now the key thing with prone press-ups is really monitoring the symptoms of your sciatica going down your whole leg. So for an example, say I had symptoms going down my entire leg into my foot right this second, and I start to perform these extension-based movements or prone press-ups. And as I'm doing reps, 1, 2, and I'm getting all the way up to 10 or 15, and I notice my discomfort from my foot is going up to my thigh, that is referred to as centralization, which is a huge beneficial thing to understand because you know it's working, versus the opposite, which is called peripheralization, meaning if you did the prone press-ups, it's actually shooting down and going down your leg and making it worse. So as you continue to do these, if you're noticing the discomfort or the symptoms of your leg going all the way up closer to your back, that is a good sign to continue with these things because it's called centralization. Now, it's not uncommon actually from the symptoms to travel from the leg or the foot all the way up towards your back and potentially even get a little bit worse as it's getting closer to your spine. It's a good sign because it's centralizing versus going down. That would be a green light. Versus if it was making it worse into the foot and staying worse after you were done with doing prone press-ups, in that case, prone press-ups would not be ideal for you. You want to base this exercise on your response of the leg symptoms as you do this. Now, the idea with centralization is to get it as close to the back as possible, because if we're thinking at a local level of a bulging disc putting pressure on the nerve root, when we go the opposite way of extensions, we're pushing it off the nerve root and getting it more centralized into the middle of the disc without popping out into the nerve root space. So when we do the press-ups, we're taking that and pushing it out of the way, which has an effect on those symptoms. So if it's going from the foot, then to the hamstring, and then to the glute, it's centralizing closer and closer to the back. The idea is to get as close to the back as possible, and depending on the severity or where you're at, you might get a response where it's just staying at the hamstrings, but it's out of the foot. Or it was in the calf, and now it's only in the back after doing press-ups. Those are all good signs of centralization, and the frequency and the repetitions of what you're gonna be potentially performing would be based off of those symptoms. So if you're getting, example, symptoms in the foot, and you're doing prone press-ups, and you have no more symptoms into the foot, that would be a green light all day on my end. And then the frequency of how to do that would be based off of how you respond to that. Say you might need a maintenance of 2 to 3 times a day of just doing that, then that's where you start. And then you feel good, and then you might only have to do it once every other day. I don't know. That's depending on how you're actually responding to these things. But the concepts of understanding this is the most important throughout this. Now performing nerve glides. This will be a different concept of stretching because we're going to be slacking on one end and stretching on the other end. This is better off in the beginning, especially when the nerve is irritated, to help lower the discomfort so that you can actually progress to higher level stretching. So here's how nerve glides actually look and work. So from here, we'll be focusing on this left leg. From here, my head is down. So we're gonna be working on the whole left leg, imagining we have sciatica symptoms going down the entire leg. So now from here, the idea of aggressively stretching it, where we take a band, we put pressure on the foot and we pull it, that would be stretching it all. We don't want to do that in the beginning when it's irritated. So as we go to straighten my knee, I'm going to point my toes down like a gas pedal. So in this case, it's slacked at my ankle, but it's stretched at my knee. Then as I bend my knee, I'm going to bring my toes towards my shin. So now it's slacked at my knee and stretched at my ankle. And you're just going to flip back and forth of gas pedal on, gas pedal off. And what this does is mobilize the nerve throughout the entire leg or the entire muscle bellies that it's going through to then not actually irritate it, but mobilize it. And in this case, this is a lot more effective, especially in the beginning, when you have the discomfort going down your entire leg, to not aggressively stretch it, which creates more sensitivity. The idea is here to mobilize it by stretching it and slacking it on each end to then lower the discomfort. So again, point the toes down, point the toes up, down, up, down, up. And you could also change positions of how you're actually performing this, like in a sitting position, but I'm just demoing it in this position. So again, the idea is to make sure we're addressing this by flipping the ankle up and down as you do this to not aggravate it by stretching it. I really hope this video gave you some insight of how to address sciatica-like symptoms and not to just go to aggressive stretching because it can get irritated. In this video, we focused localized at the back and gave you 2 exercises to really systematically go about this. We focused on bulging disc as how it can contribute to the symptoms, and we focused at a local level with our prone press up exercise. And then once we reduce the disc, we get the bulging less. Then we focus on nerve mobilizations to dynamically move the nerve versus stretching it and making it actually worse on both ends. So hopefully this video gave you again some insight and you learned throughout this. If you did find value in this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe down below to my channel, like this video, and let me know down in the comments. I really want to hear more information from you guys, what videos you like, and if this video was actually helpful, what you liked about this video, what more things you might want more information on. Let me know down in the comments, and yeah, really do appreciate the support. So until next time, this is Dr. Nick.